told me, man, it's three kind of people in the world.
Welcome back to the Rob the Savage podcast.
Sit back and watch
Got another special guest here with me, Donnesha Greer.
Not have fun, all
Man,
that. Just sit back and just
this is
watch
one of the
it.
most spiritual,
Talk about what everybody else doing.
faith-based,
this and that. Then you got the people
godly women I know.
wanna do it. Just don't
It's a
do it.
great thing to have her on here. She can speak some knowledge to y'all and fill you up with some joy. But she got some harsh truths too. So look, Donnesha, tell us what Donnesha Greer is.
Well, for one, I'm a child of God, honey. Let me say that first. But life coach, minister. I'm just a well-rounded person. I love to uplift people, encourage them, get them to the next transitional season in their life, and just walk alongside of people and shine light where the enemy is, been working in people's life. So that's pretty much.
That's deep. That's deep. Okay, so let's get the audience fed early with this. So, in your spiritual journey, take us back to where it first started for you. Like going to your adolescent years, when you noticed you had a anointing over you that you could really speak to people about what they're going through and get them through what they're going through.
I would just say as a child, always listening, just paying attention to what's going on around me. But I was one of those kids that just sitting over in the corner by myself. My mama always was like, oh, she ain't listening. She be in her own little world. I was like, you just don't know. I hear everything y'all talking about. I heard what Auntie did last Saturday and everything else.
Yeah.
But just really having that compassion for people. Just growing up, I witnessed my grandmothers, going through abuse and just a lot of things I saw around me. Just learning to care for people. I really didn't realize that what I was called to do until I believe that once I got to high school, I started paying attention to my interests. Like I wanted to get into physical therapy. I wanted to get into photography. Just saw how God was tying in things to my gifts. And then I desired to be a family marriage counselor. And I'm like, there's so many things that I want to do, but why can't I find a narrow path? So I started really paying attention to how God was tying it into my gifts. So as I got older, getting into college, I started running into people dealing with a lot of emotional things in their life. Seeing a lot of people going through sexual abuse, in childhood. I started relating it to what I was seeing growing up in my own family and things. And I just started just really caring about people and caring about the vulnerable and different stages they're in their life, and tying it into the gifts. I'm like, okay, I wanted to be a family marriage counselor because I desire to see people unite together. I desire to see broken families getting back together. I grew up in a single parent home, didn't have my father in the household. So a lot of things was tied to experience as well. So also being able to see what people had going on spiritually within them that somebody else wasn't able to realize. That's just like you, for instance. I could pick up that you were struggling with depression or certain things you had tied into your life. And I was just able to kind of map out like, well, what happened during childhood or what's going on at this phase in your life, and start putting things together, and just kind of saw how God was working on my mindset, working in the mind, because that's where the enemy attacks people, is in the mind. And so just walking through college, I caught myself just encouraging people a lot. I always been that person people calling on, telling me, the most craziest things, or people be like, I don't know why I'm telling you all my business. I'm like, well, tell me more, I'm not going to judge you, So I always gave them the best advice. I always tried to steer people in the right direction. And it just kind of grew into my adult life. And the compassion for people never changed. And Christ has always been in the center, the center of my heart. And so, just loving to encourage people, uplift them,
Okay.
helping them through transitional seasons, get them to the next.
That's major. I'll tap in with you on that and ask, as you find out you had this anointing over you, when have you found that place where, okay, you've been feeding into people, when have that been fed back into you? And how did you take that once you felt like people was feeding back into you, if they ever was?
Well, that's something that I did, felt that it was starting to weigh on me. Speaking life into people, encouraging people, that takes a lot of energy, because when you're called to be a leader, when you're called to be on a certain, level, not to say a certain pedestal, because, we're all here to serve each other. But just realizing I was putting out so much more than what I was receiving, and it kind of felt like, it would begin to feel drained, feel drained from it. But I never stopped encouraging people. I never stopped being that listening ear, because that's something I love to do. And I didn't understand. I'm like, I love this, but it can also be so draining. So I had to learn to separate the difference between, not to say a client per se, but who am I called to help versus who's called to pour back into me.
Okay.
Because sometimes we're called to minister to people at certain seasons in their life, but those same people, we're expecting them to pour back into us. But that sometimes it's not what God says it's so,
That's true.
Sometimes those people are put into your life for a certain season, and it's like God will send you somebody, But sometimes it feel like you're in it, by yourself, and just feeling like, you get weary, you get tired. But I'm like, what? This is what I love to do. This is what I would do if I wasn't making no money, because I do it every day. People just naturally come, and I'm gonna continue to give a word. But where I had learned to stop, to a point where it's getting draining, I had to make sure that, calling on people to pray for me, like my pastor, family who are spiritual leaders, pray for me, pour back into me, because the people that I'm pouring into, I can't expect those people to pour back into me if I was called to pour into them in that season in their life, So you have to know who are people that God is assigning to you in your season, and know that, be able to identify who's called to help you in the season you're going through in your life. So.
Okay. I think that just hearing that alone is going to change some lives, especially with our audience. But I do want to ask some questions, even to align with faith, because I think this is something that some people struggle with on finding that thin line with them on their faith walk, or what they want to identify with when it comes to that Christianity walk. So, I know a person, but I'm gonna let you tell the audience, when it comes to a denomination, when it comes to church, let's speak on that a little bit. You got Church of Christ, you got Baptist, you got Pentecostal. What do you align yourself with that on that?
Well, I would say the denominations, grew up Baptist, but I never did stick to those denominations. Like, I was always focused on my relationship with God. I didn't want anything else to come in between that. So, I know some churches, they do the instruments. I can't even tell you separating, Pentecostal, Baptist, what all they do separate, because I didn't get into that.
Right, some of them don't play the music and the instruments, some of them do, some of them you can't sing. So yeah, it's confusing. I got to dig more deep into what's the difference on that too.
You know what, I want to chime in here. I think denominations are, I was thinking about this one day for real.
Oh man.
And I might sound crazy, I'm just going to say it,
good.
because I didn't, but just know, I'm saying this without any knowledge. But I feel like denominations are a form of like tribes, how it was in Africa. So, yeah, I feel like, it could be the same thing. It just could be, okay, come here, come and get the word. You might not play instruments here. You might jump differently here. You might do a dance here or not. But I feel like it's just, their tribes are the same things of Christianity, if that makes sense. That's just what I think. Because when I think about Africa, I think about tribes. You know what I'm saying? They have all these different tribes, even though, it could be the same song, dance.
Yeah, the Igbo
ritual,
tribe, they do this.
But
it's
different because you're part of this. So I feel like denominations is a different way to say tribes, but just in Christianity, though.
Yes, and the whole, and I've had my thoughts on that, because when you had to really consider all the different, like as you say, tribes that's in Christianity. You got Jehovah's Witnesses, you got the Seventh-day Adventists, all those things, and they do things differently.
Way different.
But I have to tend to agree with Donnesha when it comes to just being around non-denominational churches. I kind of get the less judgment, in a sense, when I go to those churches.
From non-denominational?
Right. Like, I grew up Baptist. Shout out to Mount Area Missionary Baptist Church in South Nashville. That's my home church, even though I go to different churches. But I will say in the Baptist church, it was kind of more, I'm going to get killed saying this, but I feel it was more Negro spiritual kind of walk, a lot of preaching you happy type of feeling.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But
I could agree.
right, but when non-denominational, shout out to Bethel, going there, the pastor, I just feel more. Even though I had my feelings about the congregation, maybe, but the preaching wise, I can identify with him because he's not speaking down, but he's also speaking harsh at the same time. It's like he's still getting convicted if you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. But I will. It is a flip side when it comes to non-denominational churches. The congregation sometimes be a little off to me because what I'm used to, going to a Baptist church. I've said this several times. I see a lot of interracial dating in some of those non-denominational. We ain't nothing wrong because God's people, but I sense like that's more like a comfort zone for them on the congregation side. But at the end of the day, you ain't supposed to go into church for them anyway. You're supposed to go in to get the word. So I don't care who's there. So I had to get past that thought process. But I agree with her, as in I kind of in line more with that. But that's not everybody's walk. So I was asked you, what would your advice you would have for somebody who's undecisive? They're trying to find a church home. What's the first step they need to do with that?
I would say go in and take the limits off. First of all, if you're a worshiper, pay attention to, the, what you call it. Whether you're looking for what drew you in, was it the music, the style of preaching, was it the crowd of people or whatever. But I would say for myself, I'm a worshiper, so I was going in looking at, the worship team and whatever. So I used to go to Bethel, and that's what drew me in, the choir, the singing, because, back in Church of Christ and Baptist and all that, I was like the choir director sometimes, need to,
get up to date,
get the worship team together, because if you're a true worshiper, you love hearing good, singing and all that. You pay attention to that. And that all sound good to God, it sound good to God,
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be a little distraction,
Yeah.
The notes ain't hitting right. But
they kill us.
So
It's real.
But yeah, I went for the worship though, and we getting the word. Bethel out in Brentwood, they going through the scriptures and whatever. It was always to a point where
It's all right. It's all right.
Where you can really understand and just really go for it. Not to say just what makes you comfortable, where you feel at home, pretty much. Go in, see where you feel at home, and keep coming, keep going.
I want to ask this. I mean, does denominations matter? Like, does that play a part in anything really, or it just, like you said, it just really matters about that home feeling that you feel? Like, does that?
I think the most important thing is your relationship with God. Denominations kind of, I shouldn't probably say that. It can mud up the water. It can make it feel like it's causing wedges, because, Church of Christ, we're going to do it like this.
Yeah.
And some people may say, I'm Koji, we don't do it like that, And I'm like, go in there and it's about your relationship with God.
Okay.
It is.
Like, when it's non-denomination, you can go in there as you are. It's interracial, You're going to see all kind of different races of people, and you feel welcome. It's a more welcoming vibe. And that's what just drew me in. Okay. So I'm like, no, I'm not going back to denominational churches.
Okay.
What was your question? I heard it, but I'm trying to, my mind is, you were saying, is it a higher one or a better one?
Well, yeah, I guess I was just curious. Like, is there like a rank or a system there? Like, is there like, this is the best one?
See, that's what keeps us divided.
Well, which is
denominations.
True. Which is true. That's why I'm asking this question. Like, do people think that way? Like, Baptist is the best. This is the best. And
I do feel that people think that way and they move that way through Christianity, and that's, like she said, that's causing more divide. Make people think you better than others. Because I've heard some pastors, and I ain't gonna say the names, who do feel like, they scratching the surface. They ain't giving the full thing. So I don't think there's a higher or a lower. I think that your relationship with God is what matters. I don't think your denomination is what gets you in heaven. To be honest with you, I think your relationship with Him. I think it's at the end of the day, if you can be Baptist or Church of Christ and you know who He is, He's gonna still say, "Get away from me." So
what does non-denominational mean? Like, does it just means no
basically have no
specific
title.
version
right,
of Christianity?
right. It's you're still
You and
preaching
that
Christianity,
relationship.
right?
That personal relationship.
That personal relationship, that's what's most important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they still have worship, like Church of Christ, Baptist, Kojic. It's just more of a contemporary kind of feel to it. You know, it is.
So when you say personal relationship with God, do you tie it more to yourself? Because I guess where I'm thinking that, okay, so say I'm coming in here, I don't know, you know, what I want to go and worship or try to find a church home, right? So when you say personal relationship with God, so it means that I guess the way I see it is just like, what is my relationship with myself to know or to identify, like, okay, this is where I feel most comfortable. It might not be all the dancing, the singing, the, you know, dancing. It might be something that's more, you know, chill, like getting straight to the word, or just, it might be a little bit more lax, like just calm. Like, would you equate that to just having a really close relationship with yourself, or is that different?
Well, I would say for anyone, be intentional about what you believe in. You know, I'm specifically talking about Jesus, you know, a Christian church. So as far as me talking about a non-denominational, you know, I'm talking about faith believers, you know, Jesus is Lord, you know, who he said he is, you know. But so that's what I mean by that. So going into these non-denominational churches, going in there for your relationship with the Lord, it's just like coming as you are, coming to receive the word. You know, you don't have to have all these extra titles and everything added to it like denominational churches, you know, do. You know, because not everybody like the old school Negro spiritual. I'm pretty sure if I could cut out. You know. Not everybody like the old school, you know, tambourines and oh Lord, send me, you know, down by the water. You know,
right. But I mean, hey,
you know, not everybody take to that, and I'm sorry, that was for me. I didn't, you know, that wasn't something that I was into growing up.
And I can piggyback off that. I heard it so much that I got used to it, but then. Yes, I agree that I don't want to hear that all the time. It kind of me go to sleep. But, you know, I will say, and I've always said, even when we had Pastor Christian on, what our age frame, because we're different, you know what I'm saying? We're different from our parents' age frame. And they was cool with that for how long it was. But for me, when I knew I wanted to hear a different type of gospel, it's like when Kirk Franklin came out with Stomp. That was more of an uplifting. Okay, we ain't just sounding down. And that, you know what I'm saying? Like that, you know what I mean? It was more upbeat, up. So it was like, oh, wow. And then it was just more inspirational. And that opened my eyes up to, okay, there is a different way you can worship other than just sounding like you say it all the time. And please don't get me.
Side to side.
Yeah, sway side to side. They're going to kill us. But that's what it was. No, they're going to get us. But that's what it was. You know what I mean? And shout out to Pastor Christian, too, man. He had reached out to that, too. But, okay, so we got the non-denominational question out there. I always want to ask it because, you know, I know she can kill that one. Spiritual led. All right, so being as spiritual as you are, what are you seeing going on in our culture or the world right now that you know that needs to be fixed, or you see nothing but turmoil coming?
What we ain't seeing out here. I do believe that it goes back to our music, you know, that we're listening to. Like, I feel like when you're over a certain age, 30, probably late 20s, you're probably out of that stage of being influenced by music to where it make you want to be, you know, a drug dealer. You know, you hear certain music or what these young women are listening to, you know. I can't even tell you some of this music.
Sexy Red and all that, you know. Yeah, Meg Thee Stallion.
Yeah, like, you know, it got them nice beats and whatever not, but these young girls are really taking on as identity. Like, okay, you know, shoot,
and you know, they're taking on the music is making them take on a whole spirit, and it attacks the men too with some, but like she just said about it is an age frame there, well that. I think it kind of cuts off with me speaking as a man. When I was teenager towards about 24, then I can say I might have been more influenced by music,
Yeah.
rap. Once I got like 25, 26, I wasn't, I just say the beat.
Impressionable.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think with some women, it's going from teenage to about
Growing
27.
up on it.
Yeah,
Growing
27,
up
28.
on it.
And
sticking to 'em.
and the world being so more liberated now with women now, it's making it seem like, okay, well, she's just expressing herself. They use it as expression. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking, outside, me being 35 and looking at the music, I'm like, no, this is a like a spell that they're casting over
Literally.
our people.
No,
And yeah, you guys, and again, going towards with women's supposed to have rights. We're not even say that, but the liberation has kind of altered some things to make them feel like, okay, I can do what all these men are doing too, here, even through the music. And I know we keep saying saturated already, but that is conjuring up a host spirit in a sense, to where I can do whatever is in my body. F y'all.
Their music is causing them to want to do something.
Right.
It's
True.
taking their mindset to a whole different level.
Right.
And it's like, you got to be careful what you listening to. You feeding your spirit. So it's like, when you grew up on that type of music, it's got the nice beats and lyrics.
Right.
You got to know how to decipher between, okay, this is how I'm walking and this is just music. Not to say just like music does not matter,
Right.
but music is an influence.
It is.
So what you allow yourself to be influenced by is how you finna be out here walking,
My brains are very impressionable at this stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 24, but I mean, I can definitely agree with that age of, okay, you're a teenager, you're growing up on it, this is what you're hearing. Like, I can definitely understand the heavy influence of, like, well, this is just how it is. Like, this is how it is today. Like, this, I'm gonna be a hoe, I'm gonna walk around like this, I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna step, I'm gonna chase a bag, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me use men, women,
Right.
whoever it is, and I'm gonna
Right.
just go. You know,
Right.
I'm gonna hang out with my friends, that's about it.
And
Right.
we know that
Yeah.
our music, and we're talking about our black community,
Mhm.
we know that what our music be talking about.
Right.
And I feel like, depending on what these lyrics talking about, it can be degrading.
That's a
Mhm.
And we taking it on and listening to that, bumping it, and it's like,
And we think it's
your
like,
kids listening to it. I'm like,
No, it's
you welcome that
affecting.
into your life.
No, yeah. It's affecting big time, and I don't know. I think that the only way we can, I know it's in our white counterparts, they're catching on to it, and they're limiting what kind of music come out. Like, for example, I didn't even know the country music world is divided. Some country music people only want to listen to the old country music.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
the Garth Brooks and back. That's the edgiest, and he's even edgy in a sense compared to the old country. So these new versions of country music, they're not even really feeling that. When we had Tom on here, Tom spoke on that. He said he'd rather hear the old country music than what's going out now, even though he understands making money. But it's kind of they straddle that line of country hip hop.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they straddle that
Oh,
fence.
that's
Because
Yeah.
hip-hop
What's that
is
song?
popping right now.
Because
The
came
influence
out
in the world.
Yeah.
popular right now.
Which one?
Talking about Nashville.
Kane Brown.
But
He's
Kane
black
got
though, right?
yeah, he
Right.
is. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Remix,
but
yeah.
no, I'm talking about
Yeah.
it was made about that place, Jimmy Dean or Jimmy something.
He talking about Jimmy. What you should talking about Jimmy?
No, it's that place
I'm
down in
thinking about
Nashville, that restaurant.
Jimmy,
And the song went crazy. Broadway Girls.
Bro,
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to think of the venue you're
The
talking about.
Broadway Girls Alone?
Yeah, that one. That's what
Is
I'm
that talking about Nashville?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Broadway,
Mhm.
Broadway Street.
I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that.
But
Yeah,
but you
never
got
heard.
Yeah.
but you
It
got
is popular.
it's popular, but you got some
Jason
of the
Aldean.
Jason Aldean.
That's
And
what it
I mean,
is.
when you said Jimmy, I said
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Jimmy.
Jimmy Dean, the Sausage.
No, I'm
Not
thinking about
Jimmy.
black.
Yeah,
I'm talking
I'm
about
like
black
Jimmy.
Jimmy. You know Jimmy.
Oh,
I'm
Jimmy.
thinking about
Alan.
Is it Alan?
Jimmy Allen.
Yeah.
The country singer. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm thinking about food.
I didn't know. I was like, I just gotta say something just
Yeah,
for it to
breakfast
come
is-
out.
come out.
Yeah.
I know it's McDonald's. So, but no, you're right. But I think that, so I'm saying that to say, even they're catching on to, hold on, we don't, they're trying to make a difference between the two things. But us, we have just bucketed in. And yes, we heard these type of music too growing up, but it didn't, I personally don't feel that it stuck a hold on us. Like, Trina and them was out back then.
Y'all think it influenced y'all?
Not like
Little
this.
bit.
Not like this.
Yeah, it influenced you to twerk.
The twerk.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
not go out and do
Yeah.
the sexual act.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
when what's the milkshake, my neck, my neck. That wasn't. Yeah, you heard it, but it didn't.
Yeah.
First of all, you finna have to sneak and listen to it, cause you know your mama ain't playing no Nick, no Beck.
feel
You
me?
better you finna get hit that
Right.
nigga
all
back.
that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us didn't hear the full version until we got grown anyway, until we got on YouTube.
Yes.
Right.
Because the radio didn't play it like that, like y'all think either. That's another thing. So like the radio was kind of also being more monitored, censored. Because Salt and Pepper even had songs back in the day.
There was no
Yeah.
social media though. Like social media is blowing all of that up on 100 times level.
She brought up social
Everybody
media.
can see it.
I
You know what
genuinely think, y'all, what do y'all think? I really genuinely feel like this music that's being pushed out is causing a wedge between black families.
No, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's
Yeah.
intentional though.
we see it, but
Right.
I feel like it goes deeper than beyond what we see.
For
Because
sure.
there's something spiritual in this music.
No, there is.
Because-
Well, you know,
Oh,
they said Lucifer was the master of a musician, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he created music.
Which is true.
Yeah.
So you know that's his playground. But she brought up social media, and I do want your intake on this. I think that the music and social media is hurting the dynamic of not just black family, all families in a sense, but it's hurting more the black family more just because of the on the financial literacy side. On the black side, it's not as good as it would be on the white side. So people are able to put up with more. Like so, our white female counterparts, that guy might be doing something wrong with them through social media or through life, but she's in a Bentley. So it's like, you gonna cry in the Camry or you gonna cry in the Bentley? In the black world, it's been, right. But in the black world, you know, because like infidelity has been around for eons. But even in our race and in theirs, but at one point we all was equal. It's just that now the financial part is left, and then people say, "I ain't gonna put up with this." Boom, boom. So that's causing the drift too. But then social media is making things
Sexual.
well, it's making it sexual, but it's also making things accessible.
That's what I'm saying. On a large scale.
On a
Like,
large
if
scale.
you're not listening to the radio when My Neck, My Back is playing, you're not hearing that.
You're not hearing
But
it.
you can scroll at any time of the day, 3 a.m.
There's a whole
and
dance
it's on there. So
routine.
you're going to see it, you're
on
going to
it
catch
now.
it.
That's
regardless.
right. That's right.
For real. And I think that this spiritual warfare, imagine, do you think the spiritual warfare that's going on with us right now, what's the difference between what we're going through in our spiritual warfare here in this climate compared to our granddads and grannies in the 50s when there was no social media? Because they still had their problems too. But what's the difference between their spiritual warfare and ours?
Well, I believe that back then families were probably more structured. You know, what you're listening to, what you got time to be doing. You know, families back then was more so worried about keeping the family together, taking care of the kids. Husband is gone to do such and such, you know. Wives are at home, cooking, cleaning. She ain't got time to be sitting up here twerking and looking in the mirror. You know, stuff got to be done.
Right.
But also, the music was talking about sex and all that back then. It was talking about love making. Today, they talking about just going straight to the point.
That's true.
So,
That's great. I'm glad.
and
Yeah, that's true.
our grandparents talked about that's why a lot of babies were made, because the music was a little bit more different. It was more emotional. It was more intimate. It was more you and that lady, let's get it right. You know, tonight. You know, however.
I will say she said tonight. I will say that the music, they had the music aspect, but they were having a lot of babies also because they had nothing else to do anyway.
Right.
Ain't no social media, damn TV, dead, 3
No
channels.
internet, no nothing.
None of that shit. They got
Right.
they come home work. She wearing that dress. Got
That's
Nothing
the
else
thing
to
I
my
read.
mom's
was hitting right today. Look.
right.
Man.
Man, baby.
Right.
Blow the stomach. You know,
Finna go
so
crazy.
that's where that whole saying come from. The road to a man's heart is his stomach. That's basically they took advantage of that.
Yeah.
But like
home cooked meals, baby.
home cooked meal, had my granny, my mom's mom, 11 kids. So I know, and they was in a small town going towards Memphis. It barely had any 2 channels. So he come home work, he just trying to get some. So I get it, but I guess with the question I'm asking, like there's our spiritual attack has been grading because of the whole internet. And I'll bring this up. I know y'all heard of the story of the Tower of Babel. I think that the Tower of Babel, it was a story because man kept on trying to get to the top.
Just break it down for the audience, just in case somebody don't know.
Okay, I got it. I think you said that, Candace. You feel put me on the spot. All right. Glad we got Donnesha. She can correct me. So, my interpretation of the Tower of Babel was you had mankind was trying to reach the heavens, and they was building a tower to get there. You had every race was trying to get there, and in their sense, they feel like that's how they was going to get to God by building this tower to get to the heavens. And it got pretty high, and then God knocked it down. And when He knocked it down, He made everybody's language different, so they wouldn't try it again.
And they wasn't able to finish it.
So I feel that with that quick synopsis here, I think that the new Tower of Babel is the internet, because the internet may allow everybody who don't speak the same language communicate again. I want you to think about that. If I'm right here in the United States, I ain't gonna talk to somebody in China, because the internet's gonna interpret what I'm texting. So now we in communication.
Translate.
Right.
Okay.
There's a app, not an app or a website, where if you try to learn different languages, the darn website is called Babbel. They're playing right in the face.
Right.
It's called that. I said, hold on. Me being, I'm a history buff, so I'm like, dang, it's right there. Yeah, they just took the tower part out, but it's called Babbel. Yeah, so I'm like, wow. And it's supposed to be like a Rosetta Stone, like teach you how to speak Spanish or French, but them even calling that, like, oh man, they own stuff. So, I think that our spiritual journey is different between them, because we fight against forces that wouldn't. They always say nothing new up under the sun. I think that this has been like a one-off, because the temptation in life and everything is just different now compared to the 60s.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Things are more accessible now. You can look up anything. These kids got these phones. You can Google anything and find out, pretty much whatever you want to ask. Versus back in the 90s or...
Yeah, just the 90s, you're right.
Google barely was... When did Google
Google
come
around,
about?
but it wasn't like this.
It wasn't like this, exactly.
Right. You had to go to downtown Nashville librry, and you get frustrated. You don't know what I'm looking at. I was one of them kids, ride the city bus down there, so you don't know what's, encyclopedias.
Old school wisdom is different from today with wisdom, what they call wisdom, Back then, sitting down, listening to your grandparents, you getting taught different things, hands-on, working outside in the field, learning different skills. Today, you get on the internet, how do you make a such and such, it's good, it's teaching us things, but also it's some of that wicked knowledge that people are getting as well,
And that's the veil. See, the wicked knowledge you're talking about, I think that's the veil that wasn't in front of us in the 50s and 60s. You had knowledge. You had to really go find some wicked shit in the 60s. Okay. And if you're black, you already fighting through segregation. You really just, I'm just stick to what I know. Yeah, right. Once all that veil came down.
There's a difference right now between, I'll say, the old age and the new age. I feel like everybody can probably say this, but the new age is not just gonna accept just what it is. Like, they're gonna dive deep. They're gonna try to figure out. They're gonna question it. Like, why? Well, this doesn't make sense. I don't have to just accept this. I was talking to my grandma about this. She could barely hear, but my grandma, my sister, and me, and we were just reading the Bible one day, and I think because my sister's older, of course my grandma's older, but I was talking about like energy, like, oh yeah, the energy, this, that, and that. She was just like, when did all this energy start coming into play? She was just like, man, it's just Jesus this, it's just that, it's just that. I was just like, oh yeah, you do have a point. Like, right. I do think that, as you said, that as time has went on, like, what we have access to, what we started questioning, like that veil that you're mentioning, like, it probably was there back then, like, they just accepted what it is, but it's like now it's just like the internet, the generation, media, right. It's not just gonna allow you just to be like, well, I'm not just gonna accept that. Like, well, what is it talking about for real? Like, we're actually starting to question it for real. So
I feel like people have stopped guarding their eyes. And that's something that we need to be cautious of every day. Guard your spiritual eyes and ears, what you're allowing in, because you're receiving. When you're on the internet, whatever you're looking at, you're receiving that. So it's like, people really don't care about that anymore. People want that knowledge. They want to know, because it's there.
Let me ask you this. So do you think that there's a difference between, okay, well, let me ask you, do you believe in this first? So do you believe in, of course, we have our human, soul, and spirit. Do you believe in that?
Yes.
Okay. So what I want to ask you is, when we do take in this information, because you're right, everything that we see, we are taking it in, or just on the science level, that's a soul level, like we're taking it in, everything that we see right here. So, is it our spirit that's receiving that, or is it our soul? And our because I feel like our spirit is the Most High God, and it's just like if our spirit is that, I feel like it's our spirit is trying to guide us in the right direction, and I feel like our soul is the one that's being like tethered with the most, because it's like we're receiving it from our outside, our human is bringing it in, and our soul's like, well, I'm taking all of this in, and our spirit, then we get that conviction and everything that's trying to like, well, hey, like you should be doing this, don't listen to this, don't do that. Like, what's your perspective on that?
So like your spirit, that is your belief, whether it's, you believe in the Lord, Buddhism, or whoever, it's just like the Holy Spirit resides in the spirit. And your soul is pretty much tied into your experiences, the flesh, what you've gone through, because your soul plays on your mindset too, because of certain things you've gone through, certain trauma. But you got that spirit man is fighting against that. It's just like what people say, that angel and that devil on them, so it's like your soul can be your flesh, tied into different things, whatever your experiences are, and also your own mindset versus what God is over here telling you in the spirit,
Right. So. What you think?
No, I agree. So just kind of dipping back into the Holy Trinity. I think that's another thing that's the difference between in faith of why we have so much divide. Not necessarily in Christianity, but with other religions, like with the Muslims and the Hindu, it's all about that Holy Trinity. Me personally, I think that things I might take in or say can affect my soul and spirit in a sense. I think that watching horror movies used to be my favorite pastime.
Oh, I had to stop watching horror movies, man. I had to stop. Yes.
Favorite, like Michael Myers.
I'm going to first.
Man.
Okay.
Right. But
I used to like them though. I did.
Man, heavy on it. I mean, I still, like them, but I never ever, and I can stand on this. I've never liked the exorcism ones. What do you call it?
That scares the life out of me, because I feel like they was saying some stuff and come through the screen.
And I feel like you're a weirdo if you do like them.
Not for
What
real.
I'm saying on camera, I feel like you're a weirdo if you do like them.
And the Ouija board movies too.
I put them in the same realm.
I can't
What
stand
is-
it.
what's the word for it?
witchcraft, I'm not looking at it.
What's the word for those movies?
The Ouija boards is crazy.
Like the exorcist,
Exes of Emily Rose and
the poltergeist. I've never, and what's crazy, there is a difference between who owns type of people who like what kind of horror movies. I'm a slasher, as they call it. That's the Michael Myers, Jason. That's the slasher movie. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, he might be real. It's might be
Those
perfect.
are more like thrillers, in my opinion.
They thrillers, right?
Yeah.
He might. I know a nigga that outside or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? You think he can really be Jason? Like, be smart. But when you start talking about the exorcist, I'm like, man, look, I don't even want to open my eyes.
No playing with that.
I'm not gonna play with it.
I had to stop because I literally felt like they were literally casting spells through the TV.
They are.
I'm just like, I'm not. Y'all not better.
That's not even
Y'all
horror
not gonna
movies,
put no spirit.
whatever you are
That's
watching,
energy.
you are receiving. So
Which is true.
anybody needs to be mindful, whether it's poltergeist movies, whether it's
Exorcism,
anything demonic to informational,
Right.
you are receiving, and
You
you
are.
are allowing spirits into your life.
She ain't lying, man. I'm like, man, and
I don't want to look at the commercial.
I
Turn
mean-
it off.
right. I remember when I was a kid, and this gonna be real funny.
Turn it off.
When I was a kid, and this happened for real. It's not even really a scary movie. This is actually a movie about what could happen if a virus come out. It was a movie called Outbreak. You ever heard of it?
That's a good one.
Don't remember.
So
That's a good
Outbreak,
one.
Yeah.
right? Outbreak is about a virus that got out,
Yeah.
and this monkey is the one who was spreading it, like a little small little monkey. And that movie had me so terrified as a kid. Now I watched it as a grown person. I'm like, man, I'm really scared, but it was still it was informal.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the virus was kind of like COVID. If y'all look at,
Exactly.
but the movie was crazy. I'm like, man, I could not. I'm talking about. I had at the movie go off. I had to go watch some cartoons just to get my mind off what I just saw
That's what I usually have to
as
do.
a kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
There was another one that came out. It was like
Yeah,
same thing, but it was like it was the pig that was the cause though, and everybody got sick. Oh, outbreak
I gotta
happened
see
and
it.
everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess kind of like a similar.
It's been
They're
several.
all
Yeah,
before
they did.
2020.
It was. These movies like Outbreak came out in
Early,
'96.
Early
They
2000.
was
Yeah.
telling us.
Well, shit, Outbreak came out in
They be
'96.
letting us know some
Yeah.
little
They do.
stuff.
They
They
dipping
have
down.
They do.
And
They
then
be saying, or-
to be real, I know we brought up our slasher. I felt that same way when I had to put what's name is a mix between the exorcism and slasher, and Chucky. Chucky had me terrified as a kid.
Chucky was in that movie saying spells.
He was.
He was
Yeah.
making the dead come alive and all that.
Right in our face. You know what I'm saying? Terrified. Well,
When as soon as I heard, like I can't do it.
yeah. Now, as a kid, that what you're taking in can really affect you, and I think that some of these serial killers out here might have been affected by that, especially these new ones with the video games.
They're fans.
I was just
They're
gonna say they are
they're acting
real
out.
deal fans.
That's why
Literally.
it's a thing with the shooters, the mass shooters and stuff.
Mhm.
It's like when we give them credit, it's almost like we're giving them credit when we put their name, their face out there. It's like somebody like, oh, well, I'm gonna do that because then I can get. So it's sick. It's sick people out here, and I feel like
Some people are not mature to be playing certain games, looking at certain
yes,
stuff.
Right.
Yes.
They're not. And I mean, when I watched it, here again, I watched on Netflix when it came out, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, which I already knew about the Jeffrey Dahmer story. But once he had committed these crimes in jail, he actually had fan mail.
Yeah.
Yes.
People was sending him mail like,
All of them serial killers.
I'm like, what? And then it was actually also women like, will you marry me? I'm like, what? Can you wear that same outfit you had on when you killed dude? Like
Not
some
keep
people.
wearing the same outfit.
Yeah. Like
But
so
it's
that is crazy. So
I think the question is, I just want to know y'all's opinion on this. But do y'all think that, because as the story goes, he gave his life over to Christ and in jail, and do y'all think that he made it to heaven?
oh man.
Because I
I'm
mean,
gonna let you have it. Now you got that.
Yeah, for real, I
I won't let her take that one.
If he genuinely repented in his heart
Mm.
for killing all those people, he was saved.
It's
think
the
so.
genuineness.
Because
think
that's what
so.
the word says. If you
Yeah.
repent and turn away from your sins,
Mm-hmm.
all is forgiven.
And that's what if y'all know the story, he actually did do that while he was in prison.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm just like. I feel like he
He
did.
may have portrayed a certain image on the outside, but God only knew what was in his heart. If he meant it in his heart, he actually repented, he was saved.
Yeah. So that's always gonna be a tough one for people who are on the fence. If you know the word, that's what God said. That's what he promised.
I think he went to heaven.
Right.
If he truly meant
I
it in his
100%
heart.
believe
Yeah, like,
if he believed in his heart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Genuineness is the key.
Yeah,
Right.
I really
True
really
repentance.
like that.
Repentance is not the words of your mouth, it's what's in your heart. You can tell people all day long, oh, I don't do this no more, I'm sorry. God know that heart.
Right.
Because that's what's most important, what's in that heart.
That's real. And since we also still on that realm of I say the Christian way of spirituality. So I was on Facebook. I ain't gonna say his name. He's a friend of mine, and he made a post. And I think that when I'm gonna just say this, witchcraft is heavy right now. I think more than going back to our parents' time frame. It was there too. It wasn't as big as it is now. And a homie of mine made a post saying he felt that, because he's very spiritual, but he's not on the same spiritual that I'm on. He felt that us Christians are too judgy when it comes to the witchcraft word, because he says he feel like we're practicing witchcraft in our own way. So he said that baptism is witchcraft, if you want to be real. And I was like, whoa, so let me hear what you got to say on that, because I was like,
in a sense,
Negro, what you
now
talking about?
that you think about it, it kind of is.
It's a ritual.
Well, I believe that the enemy is going to mimic anything that the one and only true God, my own belief, he's going to mimic everything that he says. Okay, it's just like you can look at different religions. They all have an example of what the flood looked like, talking about Noah and the ark, and he built the flood. He's always going to have his interpretation, his own image of what it looks like to him. But, and this is why you have to be intentional about what your beliefs are, what it is that you're seeking, because you can easily be swayed by other people's views because of different religions. Different religions are always going to have a different point of view. It's just like Christianity. You getting baptized is what it represents. You know, you dying to your old self, you taking up the cross, believing that Jesus is Lord, your salvation. He died on the cross for your sins. You being baptized, being born again, as a new creation in Christ. You know the word. A lot of these people that be quoting, this is witchcraft, this is such, you haven't even read the word. You read your own interpretation from what your own belief, what your flesh feels comfortable to believe. Because a lot of these other religions are witchcraft, because if it ain't the one and true and only, then the rest of it is witchcraft.
Right. Cause then,
and that's my own point of view.
And you know, I agree with her. But you know, but the naysayer is gonna hit you with, you know, well, didn't the book talk about the woman that was of light spirit? What was the word? When Saul sent the men out to go find a woman of light spirit. I'm saying it right? Common spirit.
I'm trying to figure out
which.
So Saul, Paul sent.
There's two Sauls.
The one that died. Saul sent his soldiers out to find a person of light spirit. Am I saying it right?
I'm just trying to think the light spirit parts.
So yeah, what is
common spirit? I think that's what I'm saying the word wrong.
So are you talking about when Saul went to go seek out that spirit because he wanted some?
He had actually killed his buddy.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about now?
So when Saul went to go see that, she's like a medium, psychic, or something like that. That whole situation where he lost his faith and he went to go seek that psychic, and who appeared after he had seeked the psychic?
Oh, like somebody, he died, and he tried to bring him back, and all these other souls came up from the guys.
So the guy said, "Why did you awaken me?" You know, so pretty much tell him, "You have sinned, you have seeked this psychic out, now you're gonna die," and all that, which he did die, because it basically was telling that Saul had lost his faith in the Lord. He wanted to use his, go out of his way and working at his own strength to get the answers that he was seeking God for, because he felt that God wasn't listening to him. He didn't give him an answer, so he went to go seek out this medium and psychic. It's what people do today, go and seek because they want quicker information. They don't want to wait on the Lord, And so because of that last sin he committed, he perished from that. He died right after that. So
right. So I'm bringing that up. That's what in the conversations I've had with people, they always want to bring that part of that, bring that up.
Okay.
Like that, what the Bible talks about, it happened.
You can even say that communion, if you look at that, you can bring out. Oh yeah,
they've hit me with that one.
Jesus' blood, you're drinking Jesus' blood.
Yeah, they say that's a blood sacrifice. They've hit me with that one. They've hit me with the bread, that's the skin. I'm like, okay, let's
I understand your perspective. I understand where you're coming from.
But these are metaphors. He wasn't even back in the Last Supper. They wasn't all taking a bite out of Jesus' arm. That's what I mean. Yeah. It's supposed to represent. This is my flesh. This
He wanted to show the people like what y'all are believing in out here. How he sent his one and only son to be the true and one and only example, because as many signs and miracles that the enemy tried to perform in the Bible, it's just like when the discussion about which one had the staff. Was it Moses?
So with Pharaoh and Moses went at each other's neck. People, I'm glad you said that. I've been questioning on that. What about that? He had a snake too. I said, I said, but which rod? That's witchcraft on both sides, really. And the Moses had his, was stronger, just had to be stronger. I'm like, and I try not to get in those conversations because I'm not as astute as I need to be to really fight it. But I know deep inside that what I'm saying is right. I might not be able to relate it out like I need to go back with them. So I just like, you got it. You want to think it's what it was and what it is.
And that's what people want to do. They want a battle between what they believe in, what you believe in. And that's why I tell people, baby, you got to believe in what I believe in. You have your own relationship with, no disrespect, whoever, you believe in, and I have my own. But I feel like you should come with humbleness and, willing to learn and understand. It's just like if a Christian go, to Muslims or such, and they want to know, hey, why do you believe in what you believe in? It's not for us to be disrespectful, because at the end of the day, there is only one and only true God. And everybody will get to see that when everybody leaves this earth, So your salvation is your choice,
I agree with her, and I think that for the most part, I think black people do still feel that there's one true God. I think that we do have a new wave of our generation of blacks who's starting to question that and starting to tap back into Egyptian mindsets. When you know what I mean, they don't even know what they even. For example, like we on the topic of witchcraft. Halloween just passed. The amount of different deities and stuff that these people was portraying during that one day, I'm like, this is what y'all really want to be walking as. Y'all just choose this day to really express it. I've seen a lot of Medusa spirit. I've seen a lot of warlock spirit. I've seen all this. I'm like, what is it? Like, and then I've also noticed how, even with staying on the same subject, I've noticed how Halloween has become very, very sexual. Have y'all noticed that?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember it being this
that
sexual.
one day you feel like you get to, like you said, you get to
that.
be what you really want to be.
You being what you really want to be. I don't remember.
So why every day you dress in Pentecostal, long skirts, you know?
I don't know how
Long
they
sleeves.
even want to try. I feel like they try
Turtleneck
God
up
when they're
and-
wearing the nun outfits. I'm like, even though that's Catholic in a sense, but it's still you still trying it. That's still part of Christianity. You wearing a sexy nun, like that's even scary. I would think. Why would you even want to try that?
I feel like the world and our society is more sexualized, period, these days than it was.
Why do you think that it's
Well, I
become
think
more
that's that
spirit?
paganism just being introduced into.
Well, the paganism.
I just think that's that paganism.
It's just
being-
back rampant.
being
You know, it never
introduced.
left. It just is stirring up. It's stirred up.
To be honest with you, the pagan, I think it is a separate thing. I'm not agreeing because the paganism wasn't even based in that sexual stuff either. I think that we've got the paganism side, which already ain't supposed to be following.
Right,
But then you got the sexual liberation. And I'm not, I'm the only man on this panel right here, but I'm noticing, because only a man can only do so much publicly without him getting banned. A man can't be on there showing too much. You know what I mean? But the sexual liberation that has allowed women to be more enticing. And I feel like a lot of women who are not in tune with themselves or God or even history don't understand the power of woman. The book even talks about how we are, we both weak to flesh, but how certain things, they know how it would entice men and make them even weak, because we're weak to y'all. Just by they were saying even how the Egyptians was doing their makeup and it had their eyebrows arched a certain way, like it was enticing. They have just tapped back into that spirit. That's all it is. If you look at all the Egyptian hieroglyphs, all the women that was doing was looking. They might have had clothes on, but they was all looking right.
Yeah.
Just watch the Cleopatra thing on Netflix.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like she was a ruler at one point, but she was seducing in a sense. Even what's his name fell for it, Caesar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, I ain't never had a woman like this. He was basically saying that. So I think that there's to answer your question, I think it's a sexual spirit that's a cloud over a lot of things right now. And the further, it's a lot more distractions also when it comes to not just crazy, not just music. We're falling far, far away from even picking up a book and reading it. The Bible, I mean.
Yeah.
We got so much distraction. Football, basketball, BET Awards, talk shows. Instead of just reading, we're not praying as we're supposed to. We'll be praying a lot more than what we do. Just praying at night, you'll be doing a lot more than that in a sense. But we've been distracted from God. All of us have, in a sense.
I wanna ask y'all this. So, do y'all celebrate Halloween?
I haven't celebrated Halloween. Oh, let me hold on. I'm glad you asked that. I think there is a group of people out here who might just participate by being outside, but not really celebrate. You know what I mean? And I feel like I've been that person. Like I might have put a.
What I said.
Huh?
That's literally what I said.
Right. I've literally have put on a Michael Myers mask in the past. Okay.
Yeah.
But I ain't really just go all out. I ain't finna make it my duty to go to this Halloween party. If I go, I go. I'm not really celebrating. I'm just there. I participate. In a sense, that's still in the way bad.
Celebrating.
I'm like,
It's still celebrate. It's straddling the line.
Still straddling them
Right.
lines.
But it's straddling the line. But it's not like how I would
So you
look
believe
at. I don't believe in it at all. But it's not the same way I look at Christmas. Christmas, I might go all out. Give me
What about Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
That's a good one.
That's the only pagan one that's iffy with me because that was more. First off, that's the only pagan one that wasn't around during almost biblical times. Thanksgiving only been around, y'all, since there's been a country.
Exactly.
So I don't know how to really put that one in there. It's not, and that's supposed to be something that the Indians were trying to show. The Caucasians took advantage of that, but the Indians were just trying to show them how to grow crops.
Yep.
The Caucasians didn't know that you could eat the turnip green. I get you read it and you're like, what? That's all they were doing, just teaching like you can eat that berry, don't eat that berry. That's all that was, and that's why it's called Thanksgiving because they were saying thank you for teaching us this. We're gonna take your land though, but thank you for teaching us.
I was gonna say, wasn't it like a massacre though on that specific day? Or like...
No. So the Thanksgiving was the Pilgrims was thanking the Indians for teaching them this knowledge of how to grow crops. Well, they killed them over a period of time through sex, through
liquor, introducing them to the stuff they had,
and then the diseases they had coming from Europe. Yep. Just wiped them out. If you really want to get technical, but that's why the Thanksgiving one I don't know about that one, but and 4th of July, all of them were kind of newer.
Yeah, I was just like 4th. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought Valentine's Day's been around though. I think.
But Valentine's was demonic at one point.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It was.
I never heard that one before.
Now you gotta look at it. That was a real woman scorn type thing. Yeah. That's not even. That's what I'm saying. Like we are. And I've had this conversation with her before about how we're African Americans. We're humans, but certain things we just don't take in heed. We just take it in heed because we over here now. Valentine's Day is one of them. That's been around since Roman. That's Roman stuff. We're not Roman, so why we even but we indulge in it because we over here. You know what I mean? But like I said, Valentine's Day, 4th of July. Not Valentine's Day, but 4th of July and Thanksgiving. Those are ones that like okay, that's because. We United States.
A lot of these are pagan holidays.
They are.
The pagan holiday, yeah. But the real pagan holidays, right? But the real pagan holidays are the Christmas, Halloween. I'm forgetting some. It's a couple others that we don't even think about anymore. Yeah. Since you're right here, how you feel? Because I don't know if you did it myself. How you feel about Hanukkah? Or you need some more research to really.
I haven't really delved into Hanukkah like that. I feel like the holidays is what is meant to you and your family, because I may sit at home on Thanksgiving and my mama may feel some type of way. We're supposed to be together this Thanksgiving. I'm like, well, mama, this man make a holiday. I'm like,
Yeah.
But it's what it means to you.
So even with Christmas, like, the same thing, like, since it is a pagan holiday, it's just like,
with the Christmas trees and all that. Like, that ain't in the word.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's just
they worship
like,
Christmas tree back in the,
So do y'all still choose to celebrate it though? Because even too, I mean,
use it as like she just said, more of a coming together
as
family, as love in there,
giving and love, but like getting into the Christmas tree and all that.
Right.
You might put up a little Christmas tree, but I'm not worshiping the Christmas tree.
Right.
It
kind of go back to like I said about Halloween.
I ain't really doing certain things.
Right. You're straddling that line, but also Christmas. Then you find out that ain't where his birthday.
Yeah, Jesus' birthday, just like that.
So it's like
I'm just trying to figure out how they even.
I think it's in July.
Made that come.
It's
like it's Jesus' birthday.
June.
Like I'm just like, how do you even make that make sense?
And people getting into their feelings.
Santa Claus really mean it's Satan.
Man, Christmas. You can't tell nobody.
Especially Santa.
Santa Claus name has it already.
Fairy tales, Santa Claus, Easter Bunny. I'm like, look,
right,
mommy, daddy bought you them gifts.
Man, look.
Okay, that's what.
She said, "Mama,
me and her talked about that.
We bought you them gifts, baby. We work. You see, when you go to school, and I come pick you up.
My dad.
I made that money to get. God bless me with the money to get.
My kid is not gonna sit on no grown man lap and take some pictures. That's weird. Like for what? No.
My dad told me one time. He said, "I wish a Negro would come down this chimney." You know what I'm saying? Like I'll tell you though, my dad old school. He made us not.
Right.
Now, he got some flack from our family members about this, but he made us not believe in Santa Claus early. He said, "I didn't work hard with it, and I'm Santa." You know what I'm saying? Like so, he's 73, so he get mad.
You should have said it out loud. Look,
my mama didn't tell us that growing up. I didn't.
See, and I want to do that with my future kids, but I feel like certain people, they, you know, well, the kids want to enjoy the holiday, and then you're putting them as an outcast because it's like, oh, well, I'm going to tell everybody Santa's not real, you know, and it's
Right.
like,
So you want to learn some
how do you do
stories,
that?
go learn some Bible stories. That's going to teach you
Right.
all about some things
Right.
that you can look up to
The
and
three
learn
wise
about.
men or something. You get stuck on that
And
one.
you can exemplify it and look at how it exemplifies to today.
Not for real.
But ain't no Santa Claus, Easter Bunny.
None of that.
No.
None of that, man. Like, nah, it's real. It's real. Now, like,
What's
she
Santa at when I need some bills paid? He
Right.
ain't here.
okay.
why y'all don't come this one day? Yeah, man. What
So
about
how do you battle that though? Because of like the school systems and everything. Like it's just like you already know the
Separating
schools
from
are-
reality and fantasy. You got to tell these kids straight up. You know,
You gotta
tell them
tell
what's
them.
reality.
straight up and just straight up be honest with them. I want to piggyback what you said a few minutes ago. I grew up with a family up the street, and they were Jehovah's Witness, and I
They don't
seen.
believe in none of that.
I know, but I even seen them give in just because all the kids on the neighborhood had kids. So the youngest child,
feel offered.
they bought him everything. Yeah, just to feel like he won't feel ostracized. I said wrong, ostracized there.
Is that the right thing to do though? To buy like?
I feel like it's what you make the holidays. Like in
Yeah,
Christmas,
yeah.
it's like I don't believe in the tree. You know,
Yeah.
they worship in the tree. I don't believe in Santa. But there's nothing wrong with getting your kids gifts.
Right.
But as far as taking it to heart, you ain't got the money to get certain gifts. You know, don't do all that.
Yeah, don't
You
go
know, don't beat
bankrupt
yourself
trying-
down. Like, look,
Right.
I know you say about these gifts, get gifts, honey. I buy you gifts all year. This is reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a scam anyway. They making
Right.
money off of Christmas. Look how
Right.
they say everything
This time
going
of
on
year-
sale. Ain't nothing going on sale.
This time of year is
Man.
money racking season.
It's about that
Yes.
money. It's like
Money,
Sir, it's
teach
right.
them kids.
And they make you feel
Living.
bad. Propaganda make you feel bad, not
Yeah.
buying into
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
like, well, dang, I
Yeah.
don't believe
It's
that.
80% off.
Make you the
Right.
worst person in the world.
Right.
Brother. You're right.
I didn't get this for Christmas.
Oh my gosh, right.
And
But you're
Right.
not buying any presents for anybody. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Right.
They will attack. So I want to say this. So, what's some advice from a spiritual led woman, leader? Put it out there. What's some advice you would have for our audience who are struggling or straddling that line with their faith and just need a little push? What's some advice you have for them to get them on the right track?
I would say, for one, get focused about why you're here. Who are you? Stop looking and worried about what everybody else is doing, because everybody's living their own life. Most of it is a facade of what you see. But it's like, who are you? Finding out, why did God put me here? What are my gifts and talents? What are the things that I love and I enjoy? What can I be doing right now that, can set me up to a greater future? It's like, it's easy every day. We working, making money. We got to pay bills, the normal things. But it's like, be intentional about being purposeful. We all are here for a purpose, and it's our duty to seek out why we're being put here. Because you and I have gifts and talents like the rest of us. It's just like, use that, because that's what we're here for, to bless other people. Because it's gonna, it cycles back around,
Okay.
So
Okay, that's good. I got some savage questions for you. Oh yeah, this is a segment that we do on each. We started, Candace. Shout out to Candace for even having me to think about that. We've been doing our last couple of interviews here.
Okay.
So, first one. Here's a good savage question for you. What could you change in your walk that you have now? Even though you're spiritual led, none of us is perfect. What's something that you would change in your walk?
I would say, stop saying, I'm going to do this. We dream every day, but it's like, start doing. Start doing the little things that you've been writing down in your journal. It's time to move your feet, get going. You can dream all day. It's just like, it's time to hit the ground running. And it's like, the more you sit back, I'm going to do this. I'm looking at everybody else getting started. I'm encouraging people, pushing them. I'm like, okay, when you going to hit the ground running? You got all these different gifts and talents. It's time for you to get going. Okay. So I would say for myself, it's time for me to get started. A lot of things that I have been sitting on, like at fine wine, it's getting,
It's been marinating.
and it's just been marinating. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what?
Okay.
I'm, God is sending me to help this person, that person. I'm
Right.
like, now's my time.
Okay.
So I was like,
Okay.
Right.
I like
Get
that.
moving.
That was a good one. She said, yeah, she just got the blood flowing. Let's go. Let's do it.
Feet pump.
Just
Good.
right.
That's right.
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 Savage question number 2. All right. What's your number one fear in faith?
Well, God didn't give me a spirit of fear, so
Okay.
I'm not going to say I have a fear. Sometimes we doubt ourselves, and sometimes we lack belief in what we're capable of doing. I would say for myself not to fear stepping out into the unknown. Just because I don't have A, B, and C, and D laid out in front of me, that doesn't mean that I can just jump out and get started, because all the pieces will come together as you start moving your feet. So it ties back into it. Get going. Don't feel the future. And everything that you've been praying and looking for is going to meet you as you continue to walk.
Okay. That was killer. All right, Savage, question number 3. What is your spiritual goal for the rest of your life?
Keep doing what I'm called to do.
And that is?
Pointing people to God, getting them saved, and encouraging, uplifting people, and laughing and having fun.
Having fun.
Right.
Man, look, I appreciate you coming on. I know the audience they're gonna be moved by this, and they want to find out what if they seeking for spiritual knowledge or somebody just to talk to about their life doings. Where can they find you?
Put your information in the contact box. I'll message you back.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Appreciate it.
I'm
Stay
in
tuned.
the comment box, yo. Put
Big,
your
hey,
information in
hey.
the comment box.
Make sure you got any questions for her, put it in the comments. She'll get right to you, but she's gonna change lives. Stay tuned.